Hello, everyone, and welcome to Randstad RiseSmart's Career Podcast, helping you transform your everyday work life into an exciting and rewarding career. I'm your host, Kimberly Schneiderman. Our experts are career industry practitioners with deep experience in HR and corporate leadership. They are seasoned coaches in the area of career growth, workplace communications, succeeding in a current role, enhancing work satisfaction, managing priorities and stressors, building a personal brand, and strengthening valuable internal networks. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to this podcast and share it with your colleagues. Better yet, sign up for coaching services on the Randstad RiseSmart portal so that you can benefit from everything we talk about. Now, on with the show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Randstad RiseSmart Career Podcast. Our guest today is Michelle Carroll. Michelle is a coach with the Randstad RiseSmart Worklife Coaching program and an executive and leadership coach under her own umbrella of Carroll Career Consultants. And if that doesn't keep her busy enough, she's also an MBA Career Coach for McCombs Business School Alumni program at the University of Texas, Austin. Michelle loves to engage her coaching clients around the globe who are looking for career clarity, career confidence, and effective career change strategies. She's got 20 plus years of experience in the careers industry and holds degrees from the University of Maryland and JFK University, along with 6 career industry certifications. No easy feat, trust me. And she is on the board of directors for the Career Thought Leaders organization. Throughout her career, she has had the opportunity to influence, train, and coach professionals in a wide range of industries, including the Career Center at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, wow, along with several government agencies such as the FDIC, the TSA, HHS, and Department of Education. Welcome to the show today, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Thanks. So today, Michelle is talking to us about the 3 pillars of work-life balance. Now, we're hearing a lot about this topic in the world today, so I'm interested in hearing how Michelle advises professionals to understand what balance means to them personally and how it can look at different times in one's career and life. Michelle, are you ready to get started?
I am ready to get started. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. So as I said, work-life balance is a topic that we've been hearing about for a long time. It's had a resurgence in the last couple of years. That said, let's level set our audience on the approach that you take with this topic. Can you tell us a little bit about where you start with this idea of work-life balance?
Most definitely. So I want to start with a quote from Shakespeare. It happens to be the one that I try to use as my own mantra in life, which is very simply, to thine own self be true. And so the reason I like to start here is because with work-life balance, you have to fix or figure out where balance is for you. You know, what is going on in your life? And I have, there's different ways that people look at balance. And I like to start with my clients, making sure that they understand what their way is.
Gotcha. And so if everybody has a different look of work-life balance or what their way is, give us some examples of what that might be.
All right. Well, I like to kind of go with sort of 3 pillars. I think that kind of helps us understand. So the first one would be see where you are in life or assess your life now. A lot of the clients that I coach, excuse me, are in some sort of transition. And with transition, that means something has changed. And so it's a good idea to just check in and say, where am I now? What's working for me? What's not working for me? And what would I like to change? So that's the first pillar. The second pillar comes in terms of aligning your reality with where you'd like to be. That's where I think we all kind of get out of balance. In our hearts and souls, we think life should be a certain way, but then when we look at the reality of our life, it may be something different. And so taking some time to get in alignment, after checking in to say, what are my current values? What's really important to me now? And then seeing what you can do to align your reality with your value system. And then the last pillar, I think, is really one of the really important ones. And that has to do with accepting and embracing where you are. Once you achieve that balance that you're hoping for, or that alignment that you're hoping for at that time in your life, just to take a minute and accept it, embrace it, feel the contentment of it, feel the satisfaction of having some type of success and contentment, sort of being grateful.
All right. So we heard the three pillars: assessing your life, aligning your vision with what your
Yes.
reality is, and then
Hmm.
accepting and embracing where you are. Can we dive into each of those three a little bit?
Definitely. So why don't we start with assessing your life? So people will say, well, how do I do that? And there are lots of different self-assessment tools that you can use and different practices that you can use to sort of assess your life. But I'm going to introduce one. It's called the Wheel of Life. Now, you all will have to be creative with me as I try to describe this so you can visualize it. But imagine you have like a circle, which is a wheel. And in order for that circle or that wheel to roll, all the spokes need to be very closely aligned. So what we're going to do is in the center of the wheel, that's your purpose, your goal, your ideal. If you could, we could say that. And then in the middle circle, we have lines that go out. So forgive my little drawing here on the picture, but the spokes go out. And in each section of the spoke, we have different areas of life. Let's say you have your financial life, or your financial status. You may have another one that is work or career. Another area maybe for relationships like family, friends, or even, your more romantic relationships. Um, and each section, we're going to put the different things that are important to you in your life. Some other areas could be environment, whether it's work environment, living environment, your home, different things. And then you want to, I guess, evaluate each of those. And number one is in the middle of the circle, and it goes all the way out to 10 at the edge, the outer.
So maybe creating some circles within the
Yes.
wheel,
Yes.
numbering them maybe 1 to 10, and
Hmm.
then grading yourself, if I remember our original conversation correctly,
Yes.
grading yourself on each of those spokes,
Right.
like the relationships or the environment or the career, and grading yourself on them and shading in the number 1 through 10 where you feel like you are with that. And
Right.
one is not so hot and 10 is at the
Yes.
ultimate best, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And so in your assessment, in order to sort of achieve the balance, you're really not achieving balance with this exercise. You're identifying the areas where you could improve your balance.
Gotcha.
So if the
Gotcha.
wheel is not rolling smoothly, then you want to take a look at the different areas where you might be able to make some changes or some adjustments so that you can get those spokes to be more aligned.
And so does that feed, it does make sense. Thank you. And then does that feed into that second pillar where we are aligning our vision with the reality of what that wheel looks like?
It does. One of the things that we all have visions of success, right? We
Definitely.
have sort of the voices in our head too that say, well, you should have achieved and you should be here by now. And if you're successful in your career, you will have gotten this much money or this much, these many promotions or this leadership role. And so we have this vision of where we should be or what our wheel should look like. But now we've shaded in and now we see the reality. And so with the alignment, this is an opportunity where we can make those adjustments to sort of shift ourselves more into a more balanced feeling, or a more balanced lifestyle.
And what kind of shifts might we make? It feels like some things are out of
Yeah.
our control, but talk to me about that.
Yeah. Now, a lot of things are out of our control. So I do want you to focus on what you can control.
Okay.
And so let me just share, let's share a couple of little stories here about how you can sort of align with yourself. Let's say you have decided that, you should have been making, let's just say 200K by the time you were 35, 40, and you should have 5 weeks of vacation and all of that, and you don't. And so then the question is, well, how can I adjust my mindset? That shift is going to be more of a mindset shift of, okay, that didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. So what can I do to shift my mindset or shift my role or shift my position so that I can set a new goal that I can achieve? So that's just one little simple example.
Okay, so somebody's career somewhat in their control, somewhat out of their control, but their mindset about that career is definitely within their control. And that's where we can align a new vision.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So that's one way. Another thing around this alignment is that there are different times in our lives. We go through different seasons. And I'll just say, as a female, I've been through many different seasons in my career, starting off with being a stay-at-home mom. And I had 3 kids, 3 and under. And I remember when they were really little, I used to be really focused. That was my career. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was going to do everything right. And so my goal was, yeah, right. My goal was to make sure that they got balanced meals every day, right? And that, talk about out of your control. Have you ever tried to force a toddler to eat broccoli or peas? Doesn't usually work really well, right?
No.
So one day I was talking with a girlfriend who was a little more experienced at the mothering than I was. And she said, Michelle, stop forcing the veggies on them every day. As long as they just get it in them once a week, you're fine. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to go by this strict vision that you have. As long as it gets in there and it is part of your life, it's okay. And, that was, I don't know, that was like a big aha moment to me. I was like, wow, yeah, that can work. We can have, a vegetable meal one day and they'll eat something, right? And instead of trying to force them or to force the situation, but just shifting my mindset about how I looked at it.
And how it can happen, how
Yeah.
the goal can happen. So the goal doesn't have to happen in one linear fashion. There can be different ways to get to that goal.
And I think, balance is like being flexible. When you think about, I don't know if you guys remember the seesaws back in the, where you have to go
on the playground. Yeah.
at the playground. Where's the fun in the seesaw? Is the fun actually in both sitting still at the same level, or is the fun in going up and down? And so the fun to me is going up and down. And so being flexible with your mindset, I think really helps you to feel like you've achieved some sort of balance. It's like, where am I now? How am I making my life feel good for me and feel successful now in this season of my life?
Gotcha. And then are you recommending that people realign their vision? And are we continuing to go back to that wheel? Like, how do we integrate the wheel into our alignment? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think the wheel is sort of your, it's the thing that we kind of use to see where we're in alignment and where we're not in alignment. It's a visual to remind us that, hey, maybe I'm not feeling as balanced because my finances are a little bit not where I wanted them to be. And so, yeah, we're using that as sort of the marker, but the alignment piece really is really about your mindset. It's about adjusting your mindset to match the reality of the world that you're in right now, or that the life we're in right now. I mean, we think about COVID and how that disrupted so much of our life and our plans, and how everybody had to adapt. And so I think that it's important to point out that there is this alignment period, or this adapting that has to take place in order to achieve balance.
Okay. And let me ask you one more question about that, because something that you said kind of sparked a question for me. What is the difference between aligning and adapting versus settling?
Oh, that's really good. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to thine own self be true. And so
Okay.
if you think about what is most important to you and what is of value to you that you can control, that's within your control, then I would not consider it settling. It's more maybe taking a different route to get to where you want to be, or maybe taking a side step, it doesn't mean giving up on a dream or settling for something less. It just means let's look at the reality of where we are and see how we can adapt our trip or our schedule to get to where we want to be. We've got some obstacles in the road, some things popped up. So does that mean, I have this other little stories like, you're taking a shower and you drop the soap. Does that mean you have to get out of the shower just because you dropped the soap? No, pick the soap up and finish your shower. And so I think with the alignment piece, it might be that your reality, your vision your vision and your reality are off. You drop the soap, but that doesn't mean we're done and we have to give up or settle. Just pick the soap up and start again.
Gotcha. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay. And you hinted at a third pillar. You said we were going to go over a third pillar,
Yes.
the accepting and embracing. So tell me about acceptance and embracing things.
Yeah. So this one I think has been the most significant for me personally.
Okay.
Just in achieving balance, is not forgetting to embrace when you've gotten it, or when you feel good, or when you feel like everything is kind of in a good flow. To stop a minute, it's kind of like stop and smell the roses. Don't just look at them and say, okay, good, got the roses, and keep going. It's like stop and enjoy your sense of balance or your sense of alignment. And then look for ways to enhance it, like filling your cup up, being grateful, being in your moments, taking that time to really enjoy your I guess your accomplishment or your sense of balance with your life.
So when you say that, are you talking about gratefulness exercises, or what are some examples of embracing and acceptance that you like to use or suggest to your clients?
So I want to know, what do you do that makes you really happy? And then maybe go to a space that makes you really happy and do a gratefulness exercise, or be observant of what it is in your life that feels good at this moment. And so let's say an example would be, you love the beach. I love the beach. Yes. Let's go to the beach and sit at the beach and maybe consciously say, I'm so grateful that in my career and in my life, I have the opportunity to take a moment and come to the beach, a beautiful place where I can refill and refresh and fill my spirit and be happy. And I just want to take a moment to be grateful for that. That's one way. Yeah. I had another thought though, as we're kind of talking through. If for those of you who are exercise people that love to exercise, let's think about when you're working out at the gym, you got your trainer, whatever. When you go to your workout, you don't work every part of your body at the same time on the same day, right? So one day you have leg day, right? And after leg day, you're going to rest your legs. And maybe the next day you might work your upper body, or you may work your core. But you're going to give every section of your body an opportunity to rest and to refill and, to replenish the strength so that you can go back and then work it out again. And that helps to build the strength. And I think it's the same way with our spirit, and just with our whole work and life connection and balance, is that we too need to rest. And I think that's a really important part of the balance, is taking time to rest.
So what do we do? Because we have a lot of listeners right now that are saying, yes, Michelle, I love to rest.
Yes.
But
Right.
But I have this thing called a job.
Right. Yes.
And my job is demanding and I'm
Mhm.
putting in a lot of hours.
Yes.
And how do we help the people that honestly
Mhm.
are putting in a lot of hours at work and don't necessarily have that control to say, oh, I'm going to take a few hours off today or anything? Like, how do we help them?
And that's a tough one because it all comes down to values and choice.
Okay.
And you always have a choice. And the choice is to live fully, or the choice is to sell yourself out to whatever the calls are on your life. And so you get to choose whether and how much you give. And you also, they say if you're not full and replenished, then the service that you provide is probably not optimum. And so there has to be an opportunity for you to rest without feeling guilty. Um, by saying no, you actually are creating an opportunity for somebody else to say yes. And so I'll tell clients sometimes, don't be selfish and hog all the yeses. Say no every now and then just so that you can be at your best. Um, and I know that's a really hard thing, but my boss won't let me take any time off, or I have to be at this meeting, or I have to be at that meeting.
Yeah.
My question is that 24 hours a day? What are you doing in the times that you're not at work? I know family, right? And
Right.
busy, busy, busy. So I just really want to encourage you to look for times to rest. Um, Rest is important, and rest is something that we have to teach our family members, our children, because they will be the next leaders and bosses, that in order to be optimum, we have to have rest. So just like at the gym, I can't be on leg day every single day or my legs won't work anymore. I'll just get up and they'll give out because they'll be so exhausted. It's the same with your whole sense of self. If you push it so hard, it'll get sick, it'll give out, it won't be worth it to you. And so being true to self means honoring yourself. It means accepting those times of rest without feeling guilty, because it's important. It's part of your job, to take care of your body and your mind so that you can give, right?
Michelle, what are some of the ways that some of your clients have rested? Like if they have a short period of time, what are some examples of rest?
So don't laugh, but you know what? Sitting in front of the TV watching a Netflix series that is mindless can really be something that could be restful.
Nice.
Sleep, of course, is restful, but not everybody can sleep the way they would, like you can't always take a nap or something in the middle of the day, but doing something different allows a body to rest. So, I like to sit outside, and just look at the water. I do have a pool, so I like to just sit out there and watch it and watch the squirrels and the birds. So nature and connecting to nature is a thing that some of my clients like to do. I have, people who like to run or, hike. And that's a really good shift of how your body works, is to not do the same thing, but to do something different. Whether it's TV, whether it's reading a book or flipping through a magazine. Sometimes for me, it's shopping. I like to just wander aimlessly through a store on an afternoon if I can get some free time. And it just kind of fills me up, fills up my creative spirit, gives me ideas, inspiration. I don't have to buy anything. I just like to look. Maybe take a drive or a ride in the car, take your dog for a walk. All of those things count.
These are all, they're all great ideas. And I am glad that I emulate a lot of what you do.
Oh, good.
I watched a Netflix series this weekend and enjoyed it and plowed through several episodes.
Yes.
And enjoyed it. Sometimes I like to listen to entertainment-based podcasts, especially from comedians and celebrities,
Fun.
because it has nothing to do with my world,
Yes.
yet it can be motivating and fun.
Mm,
I get to learn about a whole different set of careers,
yeah.
which is something that's personally motivates me to learn about careers and to hear about them.
Hmm.
Even if the career doesn't touch my world, it's great. So yeah, I agree with you. Those are amazing ways
Yeah.
to rest and to rejuvenate our energy. Michelle, let's get into this from a little bit different perspective. Kind of, let's review what we've already talked about, and are there any other ideas that we can bring forth to expand on this idea of work-life balance?
I think the one thing I want to really share is that balance is honoring that which is most important in the season and giving it the time and the energy that it needs. So balance is if right now you are, you have small children and family is super important, then you're looking for ways to give them time. If this is a time in your life where you are, really excelling in your career and putting a lot of energy into moving up the ladder, or, just becoming successful, let's say you in a startup and things are really, really busy. If that's what's important right now in this season, then that's where you want to put your energy. It's kind of like there's a theory called the four burners of life. So imagine a stove has four gas burners on it. And the idea here is that every burner is not on high at the same time. And so maybe the family burner is up high and the work and career burner might be just a little bit lower. Maybe some other burners, they take turns kind of going up and down, but they can all be on. So they're all getting something, but some get a little more attention than others at that time. And so I want you to try to erase or get rid of the shoulds, those should voices that tell you, oh, but you should be able to do it all and, jump through hoops and leap over tall buildings, and never get tired. That's not true. We have to rest our legs. We have to rest our core, our mind. And that one last thing too, I wanted to say we chatted about before was mental work.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
if you do a lot of work with your mind, I'll say coaching is mental work. I listen for a living. And so when you're resting your mind, you want to do something else with it, that's not focused listening, but maybe fun things. Another thing I'll do is crafts. I like to do this thing called diamond painting. It's mindless and there's a completion. It has a closure,
Yeah.
it has closure. And anything that sort of takes my mind off of this intense listening is rest. And I have to do that on the weekends so that I'm prepared to come to work, on Monday and be fully present for my clients. And if you have a job like that where you use your mind, not necessarily, maybe you're not, tearing up roofs and putting on roofing, but you're thinking and solving problems, then when you're resting that, when that burner goes down, you want to turn up the burners that are more fun, that play more, that energize you, that give you back what you need to go back to that. And so I think that's really what balance looks like from my perspective. And I hope it helps a little bit, just in your life as you accept, where you are, that life isn't perfect, um, but it can be perfect when the burner's high, you know, in that moment, each area of balance, just realigning and staying true, I guess, to yourself. That's really what I want to share.
I love those two analogies between the wheel
Yeah.
and the burners on a stove. Those are
Mhm.
powerful visions.
Mm,
Uh, they're powerful visuals of what we are trying to do when we think about work-life balance. And I love the fact that they're the burners on the stove, because by design,
yeah.
they don't have to be in alignment for them all to work. some are going to be higher at some points and some are going to be at a little bit lower level, yet we can turn them up and down as necessary in life. That's powerful. Thank you. Michelle, thank you for everything that we've talked about today. This has been a really great conversation. I appreciate it. As we close out, what kind of final message do you want the listeners to hear today?
So I really want them to take away that they have the power to create balance in their own lives. And the three things to really remember when creating that balance is, to check in with yourself, assess yourself. Where are you now? What's going on? What's working? What's not working? And that kind of leads into that. What was your vision for where you were going to be at this season in your life? And how can you now align your life with the reality and maybe adjust or adapt that vision so that you can really move forward? And then moving into, once you achieve that level of balance or satisfaction, to take a moment to stop and be grateful, to be content in it, to enjoy it, to relish and relax in it, so that it feels like you've accomplished something. I think that's so important, because so many times we just, we fly by our accomplishments, and then you just feel even more tired because you've never stopped to really embrace and enjoy where you are in life. And, life is short, so enjoy your moments. Take time, to be with the people and to do the things that bring you joy and that are important in your life.
All right. Well, Michelle, thank you for today. I have some homework items to do. I'm going to go draw my wheel and go embrace some moments of appreciation for everything that I have achieved so far. I appreciate these words of advice today, and they're awfully useful in our daily life. So thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you. You're welcome. All the best.
All right, everybody, that wraps today's episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Randstad RiseSmart Career Podcast. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Randstad RiseSmart Career Podcast, helping you transform your everyday work life into an exciting and rewarding career. I thank our expert today and encourage you to tune in for our next episode, where we continue talking about how you can identify your career passions, set your career goals, and achieve everything you want to work toward in your career. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to this podcast and share it with your colleagues. You can also follow me at KJ Schneiderman, that's KJSCHNEIDERMAN, on Twitter or on YouTube on the RiseSmart Career channel. You can also sign up for coaching services in the Randstad RiseSmart portal so you can directly benefit from everything we talk about.